It didn't come without a lot of hard work and dedication by our families and our kids. You don't get to be a top high school in Ohio or in the nation without having the support and having kids that are willing to step up and be challenged and rise to that occasion.
Welcome to episode 76 of the LoraineCounty.com Insights Podcast. I'm your host, Ed Skimmon. Just before we jump in, a big thank you to the LoraineCounty.com champion sponsors who make this podcast possible. WOBL Radio, Community Foundation of Lorain County, Lorain County JVS, Emerge Inc., Lorain County Community College, and Lorain County Commissioners. Today, we're talking with Joelle Magyar, Superintendent of the Avon Lake School District. Join us as Superintendent Magyar shares what makes the district unique and discusses key initiatives, including the construction of a new middle school, supporting students' mental health, and strengthening community partnerships. She also reflects on her leadership journey, the district's commitment to student success, and the role of technology in preparing students for the future. We have had the opportunity to work with the Avon Lake schools on their website and related technology projects for over 20 years. It is an extremely well-run school district and a major asset to a great community. Here is my conversation with Superintendent Joelle Magyar.
I am Joelle Magyar, Superintendent of the Avon Lake City Schools.
Welcome, Superintendent Magyar. Thank you for joining us and sharing your insights. To begin, how would you describe the character of Avon Lake City Schools, and what do you think makes it unique and special?
The people here. We've got a great group of kids. I've never met a group of kids that is more respectful. They have no issues talking to adults. I walk down the hallway, they say, "Hi, Mrs. Magyar, how was your day?" So just how our kids have been raised by the parents in this community, how the community rallies around the school district, I think is very unique to Avon Lake. I've been in a few districts and you don't necessarily see the school spirit in other districts that you see here. So it's been really refreshing getting to know the community and getting to know a lot of the students.
What are some of the key priorities and initiatives that you and your administration are focused on right now in the district?
We're focusing on building a brand new 5 to 8 building, a middle school. We recently passed a bond in May, so we are looking forward to starting that process and engaging the community in that process. So that work has started already, believe it or not, even though the building will not be open until the fall of 2028. People don't realize that it takes about a good 3 years from design to opening that door for the first time.
Sure.
We're heavily involved in that right at the moment.
How do you define success in the Avon Lake City School District? What metrics or outcomes are most important to you and your team when evaluating how the district is doing?
Really, student satisfaction. Our clients, so to speak, are our kids. And so it's not all about test scores for me. It's about our kids coming here. Are they feeling success, whatever that looks like to them? I do look at our attendance rates because if we weren't providing good programming, our kids wouldn't come. And so we have a really high attendance, which is a direct reflection on the fact that the kids like to be here. And so that's really important. So we look at that. Obviously, our test scores are great. We look at some of those metrics, but I wouldn't necessarily define success by that. I define success by how the kids look at, are they being successful? And that looks different to all of our students.
So schools serve many different constituencies, but I will start with what you just said was the most important, the students. From your perspective, what are the most significant opportunities and challenges facing students in Avon Lake School District right now, and how are you working to support their success?
We are unique in that we provide many different opportunities for kids, not just your standard reading, writing, and arithmetic. We have courses outside to really give kids the opportunities to explore their interests before they make a decision on what they want to do for school. We have 25 AP classes that we offer at our high school, which is very unique. There's not too many high schools that are able to offer that kind of programming. Always looking to do some innovative programming. Started a new wheel at the middle school to get kids exposed to different things that maybe they wouldn't be exposed to if they just had a standard schedule. So really proud of that. I think we're seeing a lot with our kids post-COVID, a lot of mental health issues, a lot of anxiety with our kids, and trying to support them through that. So we're doing some outside of just hooking kids up with professionals if they need that kind of support, but creating a Zen den at the high school. Kids get stressed out. If they take a test, they can just go and chill out. It's a room that has some soft music. It has a coffee maker. It has some soft seating, soft lighting. So kids can just kind of relax. So really looking to support the whole child and not just their academic needs, but what they also need mentally as well.
Both of my parents were teachers. What are you hearing from teachers in your district right now? What kinds of support do they need to be the most successful?
They want to know that they're heard. We have kids that come with some unique needs, and sometimes those unique needs can be challenging to our teachers. And so, just to feel like they have been heard and supported, and what supports can we put in place, always talking to them about how they're doing personally. Because for
Mm.
all of us, this is a job, and we all have personal lives. I'm an aunt, and a mom, a grandma, and all these other things. And so, letting people know that you care about them as people, I think is really important to keep that support of your teachers, that we realize that they have lives outside of what they do in the classroom.
When you talk with parents and community members, what are some of the common concerns and questions that they raise? And on the positive side, what feedback and ideas do they share with the schools?
We do have a lot of supportive parents who love their schools. I think before the bond issue and the emergency levy that we passed in May, I think there was some concerns because we had to make some cuts and we had to raise some fees and things like that. So we definitely heard how parents felt about those things. Since we've now passed, we're hoping that some of those concerns that families have, they can see that we're on the other side of that and look to make some progress. But for the most part, we have parents that are very supportive of all the programming. We have parents who have kids in multiple activities. So you've got a kid who plays in the band that might also play on a sports team and they're going at the same time. And we try to support that because we want to support as many kids in their interests as possible. But the parents appreciate that too. We have several kids here that are quite talented in different areas that maybe are talented beyond high school and are participating in other organizations outside of school. And so we try to create schedules for the kids that will support that interest as well.
Schools are a big part of any community. That's
Yeah.
no different in Avon Lake. So, what are some of your key community partnerships and how do you work together?
We have a great partnership with the city, with our local law enforcement agencies, just to make sure that first and foremost that all of our kids are safe. We do support the local food drives. We do our competition with Avon every year. We won last year, so just need to throw that in there too. We look to always partner with other organizations to try to bring as many experiences to our kids as possible.
Overall, what are some of the biggest challenges your district is facing right now? And conversely, what are the biggest opportunities ahead for the schools?
So the challenges is the ever changing, I guess I would say, the rules and policies that are coming down from our lawmakers of just putting things on the school district. We call them unfunded mandates, coming up with policy and rules and Ohio Revised Code of things that we need to do, but yet no financing to back how we're going to do that. That's been challenging. It's a very political environment right now, which you've got people on polar opposite sides of how they feel schools should run. And it becomes frustrating because our job is to take care of kids. It's not to navigate the politics of what is going on in the world. And we feel like a lot of those decisions are being forced upon schools to make certain decisions that may or may not be in the best interest of kids. And so that becomes very challenging. I
Sure.
think positive, we are locally looking forward to having new construction in this district. It's not something that they have done here in the last 50 years. We're very excited for the community to be engaged in that process and to really see what a building that is built in the 21st century, what opportunities it provides for kids that is different from the buildings that we're currently in.
I saw that Avon Lake High School was ranked among the best high schools in Ohio by US News and World Report. First, how important are those rankings to you? And second, what factors do you believe lead to such strong results?
Certainly, we're very proud of it. I love the fact that we were 34 last year and moved up to 25, which is a significant jump. We're number one in Lorain County, which we are very proud of. I think that we look at that and that's a great statistic to have for any high school for sure. But it didn't come without a lot of hard work and dedication by our families and our kids. You don't get to be a top high school in Ohio or in the nation without having the support and having kids that are willing to step up and be challenged and rise to that occasion. It's important and it's great. And as long as we keep moving in that positive direction. When I started here 3 years ago, I coined the term like we're going to move from an excellent school district to an elite school district, ALITD, play on Avon Lake. And we're taking those steps to do that, constantly analyzing our curriculum, how we're instructing kids, what types of materials are we engaging kids in, and how are we keeping our curriculum thought provoking so our kids want to continue to come to school and continue to learn? And I think all of those things and the great job our staff does with our students all has led to this continuous increase in our rankings in that measure.
As you mentioned in May, Avon Lake voters approved funding for new school facilities and ongoing operations. How will these investments shape the future of the district, both in terms of facilities and the educational experience for students?
We're really looking forward to it. We ran 7 buildings. We closed one of our elementary buildings last year, so we're running 6 buildings. And really, from a financial standpoint, it doesn't make fiscal sense to run 6 buildings if as your enrollment is decreasing and you don't need the space that you currently had, which is one of the reasons we closed Erie View last year. By even being able to reduce our footprint again by another building from running 7 buildings down to 5 buildings, it definitely is a financial savings to our district and to our taxpayers. So if we don't have to run more buildings, then the less likely we need to go back out and ask for more money to our community. Educationally, there's a lot of things that we can't do in our current buildings just because we don't have the infrastructure. So, for example, some of the ways that kids should be engaging with technology, we simply can't just stick it in a building that can't support it because it doesn't have enough electrical capacity or it doesn't have enough bandwidth to support whatever that technology is. So, really looking to modernize and have one building where we can engage kids in the way that they need to be prepared for their learning and really do some exploration, I think is going to be a game changer for us here in Avon Lake.
What is something people don't normally know about Avon Lake City Schools that you would want them to know?
There's so many different shades of maroon and gold. So we had to do some historical research to find out what is the true Pantone of colors here at Avon Lake. And then once we did, we immediately went through trademarking and getting them registered so that these are the colors. But if you look at all of our different uniforms or all of our different hallways and schools, there's 15 different shades. There really was a true original Pantone color. And we wanted to capture that and keep that tradition. We've also created, which I don't know, a lot of people know, like a branding guide, because it seems like here in Avon Lake, everyone just uses the colors and uses the logos. And we really wanted to say, if you're special to our school district, if you're somehow related to our school district, this is how we want you to represent us, and spend some time doing that as well. So I think trying to just make our brand so known, but very much an Avon Lake thing, as opposed to anybody can just use whatever. So that was really important to us, that we wanted to maintain that tradition of it being used just for our school district.
What are your thoughts on the role of technology in education, specifically the emergence of AI tools in the classroom? How do you see technology and AI changing the classroom and the way the district operates?
I relate this back to when cell phones first came out, right? And it was the first response when everyone had cell phones. It was like, no cell phones in school. You can't use cell phones. And oh my gosh, they can't use calculators because they're on their cell phones. But we've adjusted, and cell phones up until January 1 of this year, when they're going to be completely banned. But when kids had them in classrooms, and there is still some leeway to be able to do that, even with the new law that's going into effect in January, if they were used for educational purposes. And I think teachers adjusted and adapted, like, how can I use this as a tool? And I think AI is the same thing. I think when it first came out, the education world responded in, oh, kids are now going to cheat and they're going to write papers off of AI and they're going to cheat with it. And I think we've done a good job in this district creating a toolkit, engaging with our teachers, training our teachers on how can we use this as a tool, just like we did the cell phones when they first came out and they were looked at as problematic. I think it's a mindset. I think we have to look at AI and say, look, it's not going away. So how are we going to embrace it and use it to teach kids to use it responsibly?
What other trends in education are you seeing that affect the work that you do as superintendent and affect classrooms?
In higher ed, there's a lot of colleges that now make online learning or self-learning part of, like, you can't graduate from college unless you are able to take a class online. We went to online when we had to in COVID, but when we came back, we're back to sitting in classrooms, paper, pencil, and not having those options open to kids. And I think that if this is what is going to be an expectation for kids who go to college, or a lot of our jobs today stayed at home. When COVID came, everyone was working from home, and some companies have said stay at home. And so this idea of remote work and how do you stay focused? And if you are working remotely at home, how do you build those skills to be able to do that? And I think that we need to spend a little bit more time really looking at that, not so much the face-to-face time, but if this is going to be part of their world, what they need to prepare for, how to work independently, how to stay focused, how do you self-manage yourself to be able to sit at home and work and not do other things. I think we need to spend a little bit more time engaging kids in a class or two that sets that experience up and help them manage through that time management that is so crucially needed if you're going to be working from home.
I know that keeping students safe is a top priority. How does your district approach school safety and security? What measures are in place or being developed to ensure a safe learning environment for students and staff?
Obviously, we're required by law to do drills every month. We work very closely with our law enforcement here in Avon Lake. A matter of fact, just met with the chief and lieutenant to set up training schedules that we can do trainings. We're talking about looking at how to do a reunification drill if we ever had to, God forbid. So it's something that we talk about. We have a safety committee in the district that we meet. Each of our schools has a threat assessment team. So if there's something going on, we sit down, we debrief, we go through reasons for why we may have had a threat. If it was a student or an outside threat, we go through those processes. And again, constant communication with our local law enforcement. They've been fabulous. They're using one of our buildings for some training exercises, and we're going to be developing some training drills that we can do here at school to help them become better if there ever was a threat. And certainly with building the new building, there are a lot of things that are just now part of Ohio like building code that have to be in place when you're building a school building. There'll be some state-of-the-art technology in that building that is directly related to keeping our kids safe in that building.
Let's switch over and talk a little bit about you. What's your background and what led you to the superintendent role?
I actually started off at college. I thought I was going to be an attorney, and I took my first law class and went, this is boring. I can't do this. I always had a love for kids. I went to Mayfield High School on the east side. And if you were a senior, they had a class that was called Tutor Friends. And half the semester was you were in a school of psychology class. And the second half, you got to go into the elementary schools and work with teachers in the buildings. I did that my senior year and fell in love with just being in the classroom and being around kids. So I quickly changed my major to elementary ed and had a minor in math and went on and taught for a few years. Loved teaching. I didn't necessarily agree with the way maybe things were happening from a principal's role, and I didn't quite understand. So I went and got my master's degree in school administration, and I loved school administration. I think my favorite job was being an elementary school principal because I got the best of both worlds. I still got to be with the kids, but I got to be with this great staff and kind of work with them to be the best instructors that they could be. And it was just this incredible job for me. Went on and got my superintendent's license because in education, you have to keep getting credits every year. So I thought I might as well put it towards another degree. So I ended up going and getting my superintendent's license. When I did that, my superintendent at the time said, oh, you have your license now? I need you to go to central office. And I was like, I don't know if I want to necessarily do that. But I did because I'm a team player and that's what he wanted me to do. So I did. And so I was a special ed director for a year and got that special ed background. And then we had a recession hit back in the day and jobs were getting cut left and right. And so I had to stay in central office because there was no more teaching jobs or principal jobs that I could go to. So I became an assistant superintendent in Brunswick, was there for 3 years. But when you live in Mentor, Brunswick's really far. I would drive that drive and a job came opening at my alma mater in Mayfield where I graduated from high school. And the superintendent there called me and said, hey, would you like to come and move a little bit closer to where you live? And I thought, sure, that would be fantastic. So I went there and knew at that point that I wanted to be a superintendent, and the job in Broadview Heights opened up and I ended up being superintendent there for 7 years before I came here. And I think everyone has those moments where a change of scenery might be a good thing. We had huge academic success in Broadview Heights. I built a building there. We opened up a brand new elementary school. And so it was time for a change of scenery for me personally and came out here and have loved it out here and go through the same process again with another building. So I think that's one of the reasons that I was hired was that I had that experience. And that was something that was important to Avon Lake, that we are able to build new buildings.
In the 2+ years you've been superintendent, what are you most proud of accomplishing?
I will say passing this bond and levy issue was a huge accomplishment, but I'm just really proud of our kids. There's not one thing that I could say that I'm most proud of. I think we continue to graduate groups of kids that are just incredible and have these bright futures. We have kids already this year, kids last year that apply for early graduation because they're so focused and they're able to do that. They have enough credits already as a junior to be able to graduate a year early. Just the motivation here that is demonstrated by our kids is just what I find most fascinating.
Looking ahead, what goals do you still have for the district? What would you still like to accomplish?
We're always continually working on our instructional practices. We have a strategic plan about looking at what is it that we want to be able to say to the community when kids graduate from Avon Lake City Schools. They should be able to demonstrate these characteristics or have these as character traits for them. And so we've created that plan, what we call a portrait of a graduate. My goal is to have kids, before they are able to graduate, they have to give a dissertation, meaning that They have to go through that portrait of the graduate and say, I can demonstrate to you that I have all these attributes and here's my proof, and go through that so that we can say, all right, this student says he did this and here's all of his evidence before he graduates, because we owe it to our community to ensure that we're graduating kids who are going to be able to provide for our future. That's really important for schools to think about, that you're not preparing kids to go to college. You're preparing kids so that they can work and be in the workforce to be prepared to support our future as well. And so that's really important to me to continue to work on.
How would you describe your leadership style? What principles guide you and who has influenced your leadership?
I answer my phone all the time. How can I help you? I feel very much servant leadership, but I'm also not a micromanager. You can ask any of my principals. I'm not going to go down and tell you how to run your building. That's your job. But I open door all the time. Come on in. I like to question people so they think about their thought process rather than saying, no, you have to do it this way. That's not my style at all. But if there are things that are not necessarily being handled the right way, I will definitely jump in and use it more as a learning opportunity for many of our building principals. I try to be hands-on and talking to them every day. What do you need? How can I help you today? We're very collaborative up here at central office and very open. We talk about everything. I've got Ned, my business manager, and Jack, who are my two arms. We're a team for sure.
Outside of work, what are some of your interests and hobbies, and how do they help recharge you?
I am a new grandma for the first time. Grandson was born on June 22nd. That has taken up some time, but the most joyful time. You just look at him and I smile, and really spending time with him. I'm in the process of still building a house here in Avon Lake, getting excited to finally get to be moving in there here in a couple weeks. I love gardening and I love being in my yard, but I haven't had that for quite some time now. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. I love spending time with my kids. And, what I tell everybody, if I wasn't doing this, I would be the next Food Network star, because I love to cook. I love being in the kitchen. I find complete peace in spending a whole day on Sunday, turning on some music and cooking up meals for the entire week. All of my family benefits from that as well, because they know I love to do that.
Finally, where can people go to get more information about the school district and to follow or connect with you?
They can go to our website at avonlakecityschools.org. We have links there that will link to the construction project and the bond issue. Specifically, you can go watch. We're going to have a live stream camera once the building starts going, where people can get information. We do have a Facebook page that we keep posted with a lot of information. I send out robocalls. In addition to, I have an email that goes out probably every 7 to 10 school days, and it is on our website. You can sign up for it, and you do not have to be a parent. We have about 6,000 people that get my email, and we have about a 72% open rate on that. Really a good place to go if you want to keep knowing what's going on in schools.
Thank you, Superintendent Magyar, for joining us and sharing your insights.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the LoraineCounty.com Insights Podcast. Each episode, we share conversations with the people shaping life in Lorain County, from business and government to education, nonprofits, healthcare, and entertainment. Be sure to follow or subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. You can also visit LoraineCounty.com to discover local events, volunteer opportunities, and more community resources. If you know someone who's making a difference in Lorain County, send us a note at podcast@LoraineCounty.com. We would love to share their story and insights. Special thanks to our producer, Leah Gerke, and to you for listening. This has been the LoraineCounty.com Insights Podcast, conversations with the people shaping Lorain County.